morning and welcome to this meeting of the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. We call this meeting to order. Let's have a roll call.
The rain.
Everyone is
It's
present
not
today.
working.
All right, we'll have our invocation by Commissioner McGlawhorn and our pledge by Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Shall we pray? Gracious Father, we come this morning to tell you thank you. We thank you to God for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Bless these your people. Bless the county commissioners. Help us to have a meeting that would be productive and beneficial to thee. We ask these blessings in thy holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please turn to your right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated.
Motion on the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Let's vote.
Just need Mr. Hammond, and then we'll work to get it up on your
Mr.
screen
Hammond.
as well. Okay, that's unanimous, yes.
Thank you. All right, first up, we've got a public hearing with Mr. Demery.
Thank you. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. On December 18, 2000,
The monitors are showing no signal.
the Pitt County Board of Commissioners approved a franchise for the C&D landfill, which is located near Pactolus off of 264. Franchise
so
was
Mike's gonna help you.
renewed on February
Okay.
3rd, 2003, and was renewed for a one-year term and later modified on August 4th, 2008. The modification extended the service area and increased the permitted tonnage. The franchise is currently expired, although the site is permitted by the state, and the county continues to contract with the facility. Upon a 30-day notice, which has been properly provided, a public hearing is required to renew the franchise. Following the public hearing pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 153A-46, the franchise ordinance must be passed at 2 regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners. It is recommended after the public hearing that the franchise be renewed for a 5-year term and then be considered again in 2020. The proposed franchise renewal ordinance is attached. Also would like to say that the county receives a $2 per ton fee back for every ton of C&D waste that's brought into that landfill. And now if you open the public hearing.
Thank you. All right, we'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anybody here to speak on this, either for or against?
Mr. Chairman, no one signed up on the list.
Thank you, and seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. It's a pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman.
to approve.
Second.
Mr. Owens, you have further, or you gonna make a motion?
I was gonna make a motion.
Okay, we have motion second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I second it.
Let's vote.
Just need
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Demery.
Owens to confirm if he would, and then I can report it on
Confirm.
the screen. And that's unanimous, yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a presentation for a county service award.
Black suits looks good.
This morning, we're recognizing one of our long-term county commissioners as well as former school board members, 25 years, Mr. Mark Owens, at the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Conference that was hosted here in Pitt County last month. This recognition was provided. I'm asking the chairman if he would to make this presentation to Mr. Owens.
Well, we're very proud of Mr. Owens and his time in service. We were going to present this at the conference. He was unable to be there that night, and we said after 25 years of service, he was tired. But on behalf of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, we appreciate your service to your county and your state and for everything you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next this morning, we have the service awards for our Pitt County employees. And we'd like to recognize the tenure of our employees on a quarterly basis and to recognize them in terms of years of service to our organization. And this morning is unique because we have our normal 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and we jump to 35, and then we jump to a 40-year county employee. And I believe, is this the first time we've had a 40-year? Okay, so this morning is a first. But we'll save the best for the last, and we'll start with our 5 years. As I call your name, if you'll come up, and we've got a certificate for you and then a memento to recognize your service. And we just want to say we appreciate the service of our employees to the citizens of Pitt County, what they do on a day-to-day basis, and the tenure and the consistency that this tenure provides to the departments and the citizens of Pitt County. So we'll begin with Travis Cohen's Detention Center. I'm pronouncing it last name right. Next, James Conger Detention Center. Brian Cox, Sheriff's Office. Michael Emery, Office of Public Information.
Hey, he cool.
Danaka Hines, Environmental Health. Jetson Gherkins Detention Center. David Leggett Detention Center. Kenneth M. Ross Jr., Sheriff's Office. And that's our 5-year category. Moving into 10 years, Laureen Brown, Detention Center. Prince Butting, Sheriff's Office. Alan Edwards, Inspections, Keith Edwards. Sonia Elks, Communications. Okay. Alan Everett, Emergency Management. Pitt County Fire Marshal. Jason Godley, Sheriff's Office. Chris Jones, Planning. Chris. Connie Lanier, Social Services. Christina Mills, Tax Administration, is not able to attend. Tarina Norfleet, Detention Center. Heidi Shelton, Environmental Health. Courtney Silverthorne, Environmental Health. Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Actually, with Heidi Shelton, I think she was public health. I don't know. I think I said environmental health, but public health. All right, Jimmy Sugg, tax administration. Congratulations. Do you want a picture, Kathy, the chairman?
Come on in.
All right, Milton Tugwell, tax administration. Just smile for the camera. And our last tenure is to Harvey White, social services. And that's our tenure. "15 years, we have 3 employees. Douglas Delenti, Sheriff's Office. Angela May, DSS, Social Services. And Deborah Owen, Social Services. Okay, round of applause. Our 20-year employees, we have 5 of these this morning, and they're getting the infamous silver box with their 20-year watch. We have Tracy Buck first from the Register of Deeds. I think your boss wants a picture. Gail Davis, Public Health. Congratulations. Shelton Davis, Public Sheriff's Office. This picture back here. All right, Danny Lauderdale, Cooperative Extension Service. Congratulations. In the last 20 years, Donna Preston, Sheriff's Office. Donna here this morning? Okay, round of applause, please. Moving on to 25 years, we have 4 employees, Mary Adams in Tax Administration. Donna just walked in. Did you want to? Donna Preston, Sheriff's Office, and again, this is her 20-year recognition. Congratulations, just in time. All right, so Mary Adams is here or not? Okay. Emily Robertson, Environmental Health. Sammy Spate, Solid Waste and Recycling. Pete Spate. Formerly Pitt County Buildings and Grounds. And our last 25-year is to Thomas B. Swindell in Social Services. Congratulations. All right, moving on to our last 2 special recognitions. The 35-year recognition is to the young lady standing here before us, Miss Florida Hardy, our HR director. And I'd like to thank you for your 35 years of service.
That's a long time.
She's 35.
Or do you want to, what you get
You
here?
She don't look that young either.
Looking for 35 more for her.
I tell you. The way she looks, she could make it.
Amen.
Our last recognition this morning is for 40 years of service, and you know, as we say, at 20 years, we give out a watch for employees to watch that last 10 years, and we were kind of adjusting in with staff of what we should do for 40 years. I mean, that's double the 20, but we never really came up with a solution on that, but we would like to ask Kathy Dickens to come forward.
40 years.
Kathy is with our Management Information Services Department, MIS. Congratulations.
It's a little muffled.
Congratulations.
Well, like we say every time, the county doesn't work without you guys. And as chairman, this is my favorite thing to do. And I think for all the commissioners, it's their favorite thing to do is to recognize our employees. I know that we end up on TV, but you guys really make this county work. And it'd be nothing without you. It'd just be the 9 of us trying to do everything, and that'd be a disaster. So thank you for your talent and the time that you give to this county and the citizens of Pitt County. We appreciate you. And Scott has it.
Yeah, we're going to open the meeting now to a reception in the back. If you'll come through the door on the left here, the exit on the door on the right, there are hot food, finger foods, and drink, you know, orange juice and water and such in there for you. So we'll take a break now and have that reception. Thank you.
Okay, we're back. And next up on our agenda is the public addresses to the board. Mr. Manager, has anybody signed up?
Yes, sir. We have a number of people signed up. Tim Peden, if you'll come forward, please, give your name and address.
Madam Attorney, if you'll go over the rules for a public address.
I will. Pitt County welcomes comments on all matters of public concern. Each person will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address prior to speaking. All comments should be informative and constructive, and I'll keep your time at 3 minutes per speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Peden.
My name is Tim Peden. The address is 1429 Holland Road. I'm here this morning representing Northwest Elementary. A lot of the commissioners have already got my email. One of the things that we're trying to start back up is a reading program. It's going to be called Reading to Achieve. Back in 2008, I wrote a grant, and Cracker Barrel, which at the time the program was called Reading Rockers, gave Northwest Elementary this grant. But since then, Cracker Barrel has stopped giving or funding this grant. The purpose of this program is we're trying to get community awareness, to get volunteers to come into the school, donating if it's an hour a month, to be reading coaches so that these kids that are reading below grade level can read one-on-one with someone. Just to let you know the problem at Northwest, our reading scores that came back this year, 50% of our third graders are reading below grade level. Some of the things, our goal is to develop reading skills and decrease illiteracy and increasing our benchmark scores in our schools. Northwest is going to be our pilot school, and if it works and everything's fine, spoke to the superintendent, we're going to try to get this program within the whole county and all the elementary schools next year. Getting volunteer coordinators like myself that will, you know, go out and ask people like yourself or business owners to come and donate, you know, an hour of their time a month. So if you have any questions, we're having a kickoff on October 20th at 1:30. Feel free to come, kind of see what's going on. And you can call the school or you can call myself at 916-9633 if you're interested in volunteering. Thank you.
Tim, also, if you'll email that information a little closer to the date, it'll end up in our Friday packet as a reminder to us if you email it to either the clerk or the manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Brenda Harris.
Ms. Harris?
I'm Brenda Harris, and my address is on file. I want to speak to you today about Vidant Hospital. And the reason is that many, many times I've been called to help because of improper care, people being ignored because they didn't have insurance. And I happen to have told you already in 3-minute addresses and documented is that some of it is free to the wealthy, Some of it's bad billing. But Vidant is a $1.9 billion hospital. And you say, why do you know? Because they declare about $173 million to indigent. But today, I want you to listen to Linda on a second basis. Her husband was in that hospital. And I came aboard when she was on the media. But if indigent is not about to lose your home and just absolutely be completely, almost mentally exhausted, then we've got a problem here, people. Vidant pays the top 25% high salaries. The nurses get very little. That's why they're leaving Pitt County. Look at the acquisitions of real estate Vidant has made. Look at the closing. Let me tell you something. The reason that North Carolina is in problems with insurance is because they have acquired lumps of hospitals because they wanted to affect the insurance. It's not paid on the highest and it's not paid on the lowest. It's paid on the medium. So it's a fill your pocket thing. But Linda and her husband were victims. This was played out in Durham. She's going to tell you a little more of the story. But if you folks don't listen, then you need to understand that 1818 U.S. Code is what the federal government says. It says that any time you deprive rights that are protected under the Constitution, she is a senior and she is disabled and her husband's disabled and they're almost to a point of homelessness. Now, I'm looking for something to be done. I want to know who represents her, and I want you to take it serious, because if I have to go to Washington and hold her hand, I'm going to make sure that they understand what North Carolina is not doing. Our agencies don't care. You know why? Because the people that represent those agencies are paid by the industry they represent. That's why you've got problems in insurance, the Department of Revenue, every single agency, Health and Human Resources. But Medicaid is under investigation by the federal government now. And I can tell you that Vidant don't do it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Okay, next we have Linda Cella?
Ms. Chella.
Hi, my name is Linda Cella. My address is 4584 Roundtree Road in Winterville. Last time I was here, I gave a two-paper explanation of some of the things that happened to my husband at Vidant. And since, well, even before that, they said they would settle. So we're all packed, we're all ready. And Thursday I get a letter. Oh, denial again. So I don't know what to do. I am suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, major depression, and high anxiety due to the enormous amount of errors that he endured there. And I lost my job because I got so bad. I was 79 pounds. They thought I had cancer. They were sending me for tests. Finally, they sent me to a psychiatrist, and I'm on very high doses of antidepressants. If anybody can help us, please. I have a history of a kidney transplant, and I have 2 years since I'm out of work with no insurance. I immediately qualified by the state for Medicaid, not Medicaid, for being disabled, and I immediately qualified for Social Security disability. But because it's not enough, we're losing our house. We always had. I was a nurse for 28 years. We had excellent credit. I moved here because I love North Carolina. Now I had to get rid of my dog. That's all we had, because I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what to do. I went to Vidant a couple of times, never disrespectful, always just asking, please, because you know the errors that were, they took his spleen out. They weren't operating on his spleen. They admitted they made an error, but you know what? They didn't tell me. They took his spleen out. I heard it from the nurses. He had 3 drains, and they stepped on him by accident, and they came out, and they didn't put him back in, and he's had infections since. There's just so many things that when I called attorneys, they said, this is way too much for us to take on because of the laws. We have to pay all these doctors, you know. So they said, call your congressman, get the law changed. I said, that's not going to help me. If I moved to Florida, I don't even know what I could do. I know it's cheaper, and I know my sister's there, but we always had high credit. Thank you. Thank you. If you could help, I appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we next have Lee Pascasio.
Mr. Pascasio.
Good morning. Lee Pascasio, 1019 West Wright Road, Greenville, North Carolina. Less than 2 months ago, I appeared before you at your meeting of August the 17th and requested that you immediately provide increased pay for our Pitt County deputy sheriffs based on many years of losing too many good deputies at too great of a rate due to very low wages when compared with their counterpart, Greenville City police officers. I ran this horse with you into the ground. I gave you every bit of information possible to help you understand and to provide good support for you from the public, traveling all over Pitt County and attending your meetings. I won't worry you about this anymore. And I would like you to know that throughout this process of advocating on behalf of our deputies, you have been very kind and understanding with me. And because of this interaction that we've had, I'm very proud to be an American, and I'm especially proud to be a citizen of Pitt County. I have never once talked with you without letting you know how very much we appreciate your service above and beyond on behalf of all citizens. So I've said all I'm able to say on the issue, and mine, along with many fine citizens throughout Pitt County, have placed a great deal of trust and confidence in you, and that's rightly so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that didn't sign up that wishes to address the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Items for report. Ms. Whaley, Mr. Corder.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here today to tell you that the first phase of the programming study with shelter planners has been completed. We have met internally and reviewed it, and I'm going to let our Pitt County engineer go through some things specific to that. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim, and then I'll be around to answer questions.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. Pleasure to be here this morning. As Michele says, we have completed our first phase of the programming study for the animal shelter possible expansion. We've collected a lot of data since the canine control ordinance has been implemented, and kind of looked at how it has impacted the shelter. We do have some positive news to report. Our live release rates are up. Our euthanasia rates are down. Our reclamations are up. We feel that the reclamation, the rising of the reclamations is up because of the staff that's in the field now, being able to reunite these pets with their owners. We're getting a lot of positive feedback about the customer service because of the increase in the number of employees that are out in the field doing this work. So we're really happy about that. So as a result, our intake is also down. So those are all positive things. As a result of these factors, we feel at this time that a large expansion is not necessary. We'd like to look at the data for another year and then determine if these numbers, if these trends still continue. We do feel that it would be a good idea just to kind of look at possibly an small office expansion of the existing shelter to facilitate those employees that are housed at other locations throughout the county, so that they can all kind of be in one location. And then possibly looking at renovating the existing space as well, because it is in need of that, as well as there are some violations that aren't going to shut it down, but there are some violations that the board sees when they come, the Animal Control Board sees when they come and visit the shelter. So there's some renovations that could be done so that we're more in compliance with those regulations. So that's the report right now. I'll let Michele talk a little bit more about how they have been able to manage with the canine control ordinance in place, how they've been able to manage the trends.
I'm not sure if you were given these numbers. I don't even know, is it up there? Okay. At my board meeting last Wednesday, I was asked about bites. I did not go back and pull the difference between 2014 and 2015 bites. So I have these in front of you, and they've actually dropped as well. Again, as I told internal staff, I really believe it's the result of proper staffing, having dedicated officers out in the field, networking, getting to know their communities and working with the citizens, responding a lot quicker. When they call the shelter, their phones are immediately being answered. Officers can be dispatched. So I thank you for the proper staffing, because I think as we go through these stats, you're going to see how much difference it has made. So this was the total dog bites that have come in for both the county and all of the local municipalities. And
Michele,
I'm
on
too
your,
short. I was like,
on
I'm
your
too
graph there,
short.
that-
I can't
Tell us
see.
a little bit about the
yeah,
graph.
the red line and the blue line, can you go back and,
Let Tim get me straight. Okay. Okay, what you're looking at is the blue line is 2014, and then the red line is 2015. We did have a small spike between May and June, but in general, you can see overall that the bites are lower than last year. Okay, these are the total dog bites if you take out the city of Greenville bites. And again, other than a spike between that May-June area for us as well, the overall total of bites outside in the county has been reduced as well. This is what I like to talk about the best, live intake. Although our intake numbers show in some months they are up, due to staffing, due to partnerships with our local Humane Society, Pitt Friends, other rescue groups, our ECU dog walking program, our unique volunteer opportunities with 5K for Canines, all of us are working together, and even though we've been having higher intake as a result possibly of the canine control ordinance, you'll see in the next few graphs that we're able to manage it much better. And you can see the blue line again is 2014, the red line is 2015 thus far. Very thrilled to report that our euthanasia is going down. We are categorizing our euthanasias a lot more detailed, whether the animal's sick, is it due to temperament, or is it simply because of time up. And miraculously in August, only 32 dogs out of what we had come in went down simply because of space. And I've been here 13 years and that has never happened. So I'm extremely proud of those numbers as well. And if you look at our live release, again, August, which is normally one of our slower months with people still vacationing and trying to get back into the groove of school and everything, we had a 72% live release rate for dogs. That has never happened in the history. And you can tell we've stayed pretty much, other than July, we're at 50% or above, which is a goal for the size of our county that I'm extremely proud of. So again, our numbers, with a lot of hard work and a lot of right things going for us, have come down. Our reclaims, that has always bothered me. We've been less than 1% and 2% on animals returned to owners. spiked up. Again, August is our highest month. Again, I attribute that to administrative staff at the shelter taking those lost and found calls, making possible matches, and the officers working their areas in the field, getting to know the communities and identifying where these dogs belong. We've done a lot of education in the first 6 months, a lot of this is the law now, you can't let your animal run free. If they repeat it, then citations are being issued and we're going up the next steps. But we spent a lot of the first 6 months on heavy education. So I'm really excited about that and hope the partnerships and what I like to refer to as a community policing concept in our county is going to continue to have this trend. Knowing that anything can change, hopefully none of our partnerships will change. They will remain strong. I hope that we can maintain this trend and spend a lot less money to renovate our existing space, to make it a little bit more workable, have all of my staff back under one roof. But it will obviously be a lot cheaper than what we were looking at for a brand new shelter. Are there any specific questions or?
Mr. Garris.
I have a comment. First of all, please express to your organization our appreciation for what they have done and what they are doing, and our appreciation to you for what you have done. This is some really good information because, you know, we really went through a lot of information about a year ago, and I am very, very pleased to see that some of the things we implemented are getting some very positive results. One of the most interesting things you said is we do not have to do the major expansion at this point in time, which is significant. Now, and my question is, are you going to come back to us with a proposal of this minor expansion, office expansion that you were talking about?
Yes, I am
Okay.
working closely with Mr. Corley. He's been out to the shelter several times now. We've walked it. I tried to look at what I think are the major needs-based, and he thinks it's workable, and we will be coming back.
Okay,
with
very
that.
good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ms. Perkins Williams.
Ms. Whaley, thank you so much for the job you do and for your staff. Since I've been on this board, we get animal control every month, and I am highly conscious about animals now. Number one, I'd like to ask for your charts, if you don't mind. I would appreciate having them because I like to educate myself about the dog situation here in Pitt County. We seemingly spend a lot, and I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I like to see us spend a little bit on people and people's safety other than the dogs. And I love dogs now. I like pit bulls. But the thing of it is I want to get myself in tune to why there is a need for all the dog situation in this county. And to do that, I like your charts, and I also would like to be apprised when there are problems in the area so that people are educated. The educated person does make a difference. Would you please do that? Send me the charts, and if you can, let me know. And I appreciate your presentation at Bethel that night. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I did get some feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll be glad to send them over.
I just want to say again, it has been said, but this is really good news for us. And that was a long year and a half, almost 2 years now. And I think it's very important to point out adding the personnel, which we had cut back over the years for all kinds of different reasons, many of them financial and whatever. Most of it, everything does have to do with finance. But for you to take those people and to go about this in the way that you did, and I think educating the community and getting them involved in the plan has made such a difference. And the thought that we're going to move forward now with a much different plan for expanding and some remodeling, which is needed for the additional personnel and whatever. Thank you again.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add to the conversation that, as Tim said, we'll continue to monitor these numbers over the next 6-12 months, and hopefully they will continue, and we'll be able to manage with the space we have. If not, at some point in the future, we may bring back a proposal to expand the shelter. Another component of this would be, as we work with the 10 municipalities, right now, none of the municipalities are having us enforce the animal licensing, such as we're doing in the unincorporated parts of the county. We do have 2 jurisdictions that have agreed to do it, but the way the language reads is when it's mutually agreed upon to start doing it. So basically, at this point in time, we are not looking at implementing any animal licensing within, or asking for it to be implemented within the municipal jurisdictions of the 10 municipalities. Probably the jurisdiction that will probably have the most angst with our positive news before you would be the city of Greenville, as they continue to lease space at Helen's Grooming, and I think there's another, that may be the primary place. We're probably looking for this to be a partial solution to their total animal control needs, but I just want to remind the board that the services we're providing are not mandated, and we're providing the unincorporated services in the county. So we'll continue to work with the city of Greenville the best we can and try to point them in maybe solutions that they may need to consider implementing themselves aside and apart from our own shelter.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you and your
That's
staff.
correct. I did forget to talk about the municipalities, and I have 3 more very quickly good news items. Yesterday, we had our first Blessing of the Animals event at our Redeemer Lutheran Church. Went to backup Plan B, but over 40 animals were brought out and blessed, and we received donations, so that was always a great event. This Saturday coming up in West Greenville with Little Willie Center, Spay Today got a huge grant. We will be doing free rabies vaccinations for all citizens of Pitt County, and if they live in the targeted area of West Greenville, they will get free rabies and distemper shots. That will be from 9 to 12 at the Little Willie Center on 3rd Street. And we did go back into Aden Elementary last week, starting our pet responsibility program. And if you're free on November 13th, we will be having the assembly for those kids that graduate from the program, and I'll be sure to send you an invitation to that as well. But thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work. Mr. Holder?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, before you, next in your agenda packet, you have our monthly financial report for the general fund as of August 31st, 2015. This report reflects 2 months of fiscal activity for our general fund, and I'm happy to report that we continue to track well through August 31st at 16.67% of the fiscal year. Revenues have been collected at a rate of 32.1%, and expenditures have been spent at a rate of 14.9%. The 14.9 represents the exact same percent of budget as the prior fiscal year. And when you look at our revenues in excess of expenditures, we're about $100,000 lower than the previous fiscal year's difference. But when we look at an overall difference of $27.5 million revenues in excess of expenditures, that's immaterial. So we continue to track well against our budgeted targets. And with that, Mr. Chairman, seek approval of the.
I move we accept the report.
Second. Any further discussion? Mr. Garris.
On the fund balance percentage.
Yes, sir.
I see we still don't have that. That is forthcoming, isn't it? Because the work has been done.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We expect to have a figure for you at your 19th meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, let's continue voting. Mr. Hammond?
Dave, vote.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few things to report on. Your next meeting date's October 19th at 6 p.m., and then the first meeting in November will be November 2nd at 9 a.m. The second item on the agenda, just want to make the board aware, you may have heard from some citizens, constituents, regarding a new second property tax notification we've sent out. This is something new that we implemented this year. It was suggested that we do this, and we included this in the budget. This went out probably mid-September, Dwayne. Yeah. And basically, this is just to remind folks who had not yet paid their taxes that that the outstanding taxes were due. Technically, the taxes are technically due the 1st of July, according to statute. You are then able to receive the discount rate by August 31st if you so choose and do that. Not majority, but probably 50% of the taxes that are paid on real estate enjoy the discount rate because they are collected by mortgage companies who are required by law to pay at the lowest point. So probably, again, that 50% of the revenues are coming in under that. Taxes become delinquent that first Monday in January of 2016. That'll be Monday, January the 4th. So on this second notice, we were trying to inform folks who had not yet paid their taxes that they still had an outstanding balance. In retrospect, in talking to Kathy Booker and tax office, I think maybe next year I would recommend the second notice be pushed out further into the calendar year, more towards the January date rather than so close to the July, the initial bill. But again, we're just trying to, this is meant to be an aid or a help to the taxpayer so that they realize they have this, and also that sometimes you put that bill aside and you don't remember it come the first of the year, and the next thing you know, we're looking at printing the delinquent list in the newspaper, and folks are in there that say they had just misplaced it. So this is meant to be an aid to the taxpayer. But want to make sure you as a board were aware of this, and we're going to fine tune this in the next fiscal year, assuming that you are in agreement to continuing this second notice.
Thank you. Ms. Ward.
Just to clarify, the second notice sort of came from some citizens, correct? I mean, the idea, and then the tax office felt like it would be a good thing for us to do.
It was generated internally.
Right.
The idea came internally within the organization.
And which I think it's very good, but I also think the idea of it, putting it later will be better for next year. I think a second notice for anybody is a good thing. Thank you.
All right, next on item C, I want to let you know, as you are aware, you approved the design of the sign for the farmer's market dedication in honor of Leroy James. We have worked with the family, we've worked with the sign manufacturer, and that dedication will be October 31st, Halloween at 10 a.m. And we're expecting a large gathering out there for this. You as a board will be there, will be invited to attend, and I believe the chairman is going to be asked to make some comments, as well as myself possibly, but we have nailed that down and are proceeding forward on that. Item D, regarding the backup location for the PSAP, our public safety answering point for our 911 system. As you're aware, the law requires us to have, initially required us to have a solution into effect by July 1, 2016. As part of your legislative agenda, we sought some legislation and actually got a change in the law that, as long as we were making substantial progress, that the 911 board could give us an extension on that. We're happy to report that we've located, we feel an appropriate solution to that, and that being in the Technology Enterprise Center, some space in the back that was formerly occupied by Public Health, and we will be marching towards using that space. We still may want to take advantage of the extension, especially since we asked for it, as we implement this location. But this project, just identifying that space, is the lion's share of the work in terms of getting the project moving forward. Item E on the list of things to report on, the proposed joint letter addressing PGV security reimbursement. Our airport, which is jointly ran between, or I guess co-owned between the city and county, but it's ran by the Airport Authority, contracts with the Pitt County Sheriff's Office for security, of which they then reimburse the Sheriff's Office. We've had an issue the last 3 or 4 years where the amount of reimbursement back to the Sheriff's Office has not been covering all of our costs. We've actually have subsidized I think it's about $140,000 over 3 or 4 years. We're now to the point, and there's an agenda item on the agenda, where the sheriff is saying, and I agree, that we cannot subsidize the airport operations, that they need to be paying for this cost. So the new agreement basically says that whatever costs that the deputies are costing the sheriff's budget, that they will reimburse those in whole. At the same time, they're seeking assistance, possibly from the federal government, to get the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, to up that reimbursement rate. I mean, our rate is, average rate is $37 an hour, and they might be giving $22 an hour in reimbursement. So that's being worked on. The city and the county and the airport authority are trying to work through this as well. The airport authority would really like for the city and the county and the authority to split that a third, and a third. But if we can get the TSA to up the reimbursement rate, cover the costs, then that would be the better solution. And that's what we have a letter that's going to be a joint letter between our chairman, Glenn Webb, and the chairman of the airport authority, John Banks, asking for a meeting on this to discuss it. So the intent of this item is just to let you know that that letter is going forward and that that conversation will be occurring. Two other items. Real good news item on the Pitt County Courthouse. As you're aware, for some time now, some expanded long time, we've had an odor issue in the basement of the courthouse, especially the first of the week when the facility has not been used, and that is dealing with a sanitation pump down in the basement. Our new county engineer, Tim Corley, had come up with a solution to install a water line into the pump that's then on a timer that then would release water in the pump, fill it up, make the pump then pump the water out during the weekend. We've had that in effect for 2 or 3 weeks. We've checked it on it now for 2 Mondays consecutively, and even this morning there is no odor in the basement. So, Lord willing, this solution is the permanent solution, and this has been going on way too long. So I'll just put it that way. So we're hopeful and confident that this does address that issue and has resolved the problem. So we appreciate his new set of eyes on the problem and the fix in getting it implemented. Last item real quick, this week is Pitt County's Employee Appreciation Week, which I think the board has been given information on that. And any events you'd like to come attend, there's a lunch later in the week. So you've been given a water bottle. Each day of the week is themed. Employees are, if they'd like to, can wear certain colors, like today's purple, and in honor of March of Dimes, and we have different color for the rest of the days of the week. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Perkins, will you?
Can I ask you something, Scott?
Yes, ma'am.
At this point, with the Pitt County Aviation or PGV board, that is a very viable board, and it is always in the black and profitable. And to ask our citizens, I know that the PGV board is not a good flavor in my mouth right now because the community is constantly complaining and is, in my area, is not feeling good about it because they're picking houses around and stuff. I do know the importance of the airport to our county, but I think for us to be, I think that board need to look at how they can pay out of their budget things because it is a profitable business. And I don't think our tax dollars, we can better use our tax dollars for in the total county, otherwise for human use. That's my personal opinion, and I think you can understand where I'm going with that. Thank you.
The motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Items for discussion, the Charters of Freedom Monument location.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on this item, as you're aware, several months back, you had the formal presentation on the Charters of Freedom, your Charters of Freedom, and from that, the board acted to accept the donation as such. From that, I've asked staff to look at where in Pitt County would be the appropriate location to locate this monument. And Alice Keene and James Rhodes have looked at this, and you have a report in your agenda package on page 48 that shows the different locations within Pitt County. They looked at 3 locations, one being the Alice F. Keene District Park on County Home Road, another being the Pitt County Administrative Office Complex, which is north of the river, the third location being the Pitt County Office Park. Well, actually, the Pitt County Office Park is one north of the river. This campus here is the Administrative Office Complex. Out of the 3 locations, they're recommending that the District Park on County Home Road be considered. And there's actually on page 52 2 potential locations that the monument could be located on that site. Based upon that, I'd recommend that the district park be selected for the monuments location. There's still a lot of work to be done on this in terms of, I talked to these folks at our conference, the association's annual conference. They had a booth at the conference, and they're saying that we need to get a committee together to look at, the county still needs to raise through private donations and as such about $80,000 for the acquisition of the monuments themselves. But this is just the next step in moving this forward.
Do we have a motion on that?
You got a
Mr.
question?
Chairman.
Mr. Rhodes.
I have no question about being located there. My issue is based on the map that we have here. I think it's being a permanent situation. We ought to make sure what tract it's being located on. You've got the first tract of land that was for the park. Then we came back the other day, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and talked about extending that for tracks and so forth. I don't know where the lines are from this map, but it ought to be on the first track. Because what we gave, as I understand, to the second track where the house and all that is, was use of it with certain restrictions. And I think that this permanent monument in which we have approved ought to be located on the first track, Mr. Chairman.
If I can describe the site that Mr. Owens is referring to is directly across from the Village of Yesteryear, and the farmer's market is closer to those two locations. The second location further south down County Home Road is probably more towards the greenhouse, I would venture to say, yeah.
When I saw this, my initial comment was I wish we could flip places and move one monument to another and let them put this monument where the other one is, but it might incur some funds. But I thought when you talk about the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, that is better placed than another historical monument that sort of rubbed me right.
Mr. Garris.
Yes, I agree with you, Mark. I think that the chart that shows the potential location closest to the community schools is a better location. But the question I have is on page 51, and I appreciate all the work that the group has done on this. It says that we need to clean up the greenhouse property and to upgrade the bathroom facility, and then we need additional maintenance staff to support and maintain these monuments. So, you know, we said this wasn't going to cost us anything, so what is this going to cost us?
If we can ask either James and or Alice to come up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Haven't put the dollar figure down yet, but it is something we at least want to acknowledge. The greenhouse property does have a restroom facility there. It needs a little bit of upgrade. It's been pretty much closed down for a couple of years now. It is the closest restroom facility there. It would be an appropriate place for folks to utilize if they're coming to see the monuments there. So we've got a parking area just adjacent to the site that you and Mr. Owens mentioned, and the restroom facilities would be close by too. But as far as the maintenance, one big issue, you know, this is an attraction that we want to bring people to. We need to make sure the glass is cleaned several times a day. We need to make sure of any issues there that are cleaned up. Just want to make sure it is appealing to folks as they're coming out to visit it.
And I agree with that. What you just said also points out to me the importance of having that monument closest to the community schools building, because that restroom could be utilized also.
It could be, yes.
The second observation is on the maintenance. I hope that when we look at that, because I agree it needs to be maintained, kept clean, and attractive, but hopefully we can do that incrementally without actually adding cost.
Yeah, I think basically you're just talking about occasionally having the plexiglass panels that are covering the documents clean from smudge marks and whatnot. And it's going to be pretty much It will be weatherproof because those monuments will be out in the weather.
Right. And since it's no more than that, it should be we should be able to do it incrementally.
I would agree.
Let me ask you a question. Is it normal, I guess this is a newbie question, is it normal that we take this vote, that we are voting on this dollar figure here outside of the budget or in the budget of what? I want to know when I cast a vote, because there is a dollar amount in it, as Mr. Garris has so finally pointed out. And I thought this was already, the greenhouse was already being maintained, but they talked about it. But I want to know if we pass this or if we vote on this, which we're supposed to, then what are we saying?
The dollar amount for the construction would come from private donations, it would not come from the county.
But what about the maintenance and the cleanup?
That's where the maintenance and cleanup is where we would.
And we are voting on something we don't know about.
Well, at this point, I think we're saying it would not take a full-time staff or part-time staff. That'll be a conversation we'll have to have with the Alice Keenan and the folks out there, Rita Roy. I would not anticipate having the monument out there would create the additional need for additional staff. It might help them in terms of, as they open this additional property in the south, to make a fuller justification when that point in time comes. But as Mr. Garris said, from the incremental basis, the monument in and of itself should not necessitate additional staff.
Well, I want it to look good, and I'm a little stickler about looking good and presenting our best foot forward to the general public, no matter who comes. However, I just wanted to know if this was a normal procedure, because I'm not here to break the rule. I want to know if this is a normal procedure, that we are voting on a dollar item without knowing what it is.
I think that's a potential anticipation, but the manager's not anticipating that we're gonna need any extra staff, so would be zero at this time.
All right.
Well, this is just a report.
Yeah, this is just a report, but if we wanna go ahead and designate that, we have to designate the location before we can move forward.
We need a motion.
With the committee to raise the money privately.
Motion approved.
Have a motion, we have a second.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Mr.
ask,
Manager.
was Alice Keen, did I see her?
She's sitting in the back there.
I guess since the report does say that it would necessitate additional staff, can we ask her to come up and address that before I start making statements on behalf of staff that may not totally be in line with their thinking?
I'm a newbie, Ms. King, and I just want to know what I'm doing.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
We're excited about the possibility of this monument being located in the park. I would say that, as Mr. Garris has stated, it may require a little extra maintenance for this monument, because at this point in time, we have assistants in the park with the restrooms on the weekends. So we just want to be, open about, the challenges every day of keeping the restrooms and keeping the park in great condition, because that's what we all want. I don't think we're talking a lot of money, and I think, again, it could be maybe, an extra hour or two on what is already being done either in the park or over at the farmer's market, because we have those services in our complex.
Services. In terms of the janitorial services we contract for ECVC with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's 52 weeks. Don't we have 52 weeks in a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Ward?
I totally agree that it needs to be maintained like everything else. I truly feel like that this is something that should not be maybe in here right now, as far as, and we'll be speaking to it later, but it seems like to me, and I don't want to be speaking out of turn, but it needs to be assigned to somebody or some part of our grounds and facility. We have people all over this county working at all of our businesses, mowing grass, cleaning the front entrances, doing it, maintaining the bathrooms, whatever it is that we have to do. And we have a wonderful group that we, have, and they do a great job. And I just feel like this could be an assignment, just like whatever it is they are assigned to do at your center, here at this building, doesn't have to be on weekends. It can be done on Tuesday afternoon and
Or
Thursday
Friday
morning,
afternoon.
or Friday
Monday
afternoon, or
afternoon.
whatever. But I really think that we just vote now for the site, and I would not, later on recommend that we like hire a specific person or designate somebody for half-time to maintain this monument, because that really wasn't the thought in the beginning. So I think that, we can move on and vote on this. I'll second the motion
yeah.
for the potential site being at the Community Schools and
I
Recreations
move
Office.
that that we vote on the potential site of being at the site specified in the paperwork. I'm cleaning up my motion, Madam Clerk.
Okay, and I'll second it.
With motion and second, Mr. Garrett, you affirm.
Okay, so the motion is we're agreeing on the site.
Right.
Good, and I would assume that the committee would come back to us at a later date for any kind of initial cost or ongoing cost that would be associated with this project.
I think that would be true.
Very good, thank you.
And two, before you go, Melvin, also, we're not gonna have the $80,000 in private donations overnight, so there's gonna be a time for us to, we're gonna have time to figure out exactly where it'll be on one of those two tracks and what it would cost.
Okay.
And, or if we have volunteer organizations that would want to do it with VFW or someone else that would wanna come out and take care of it. Mr. McGlawhorn, then Mr. Farley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend Alice King for her transparency, in terms of bringing this up to the public as far as having this maintenance. I think if we put something in Alice King Park, we want to make sure that it's presentable and that it's very comfortable to the public. And so to have this out front, I think it sends a great message to the public that we're trying to be transparent and let them know exactly what we're doing in terms of having the best type of project that we can have.
Mr. Farley.
Yes, I just would like to hear the chairman and the county manager declare ahead of this vote that no county funds will ever be used or pressed into service one way or the other for the purchase and the installation of this project.
Well, I would make that place, that's part of it. There will be no, the only contribution from the county will be committee time to help raise the money for it. And the whole purpose of this, through this organization, is that it does not come from the county government, that it comes from the people of the county.
Thank you very much. That clears up a question that appeared in the reflectors, bless your heart, which was incorrect. Thank you.
Let's complete the vote if there's no further.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Colson.
Alice, how many people do you have on custodial staff?
Too many.
Community Schools and Recreation actually has a half-time position. At this point in time, Rita is trying to get that to a full-time position, which is very much needed when you think in terms of the center. And then he also helps us in the park. During the week, he is responsible for cleaning the restrooms in the park. On the weekends, we're very grateful to have, as a part of our contract with the county, someone that comes and unlocks the doors and cleans the restrooms on Saturdays and Sundays. And I can also tell you that every one of the staff from time to time are cleaning restrooms, including myself. And we're happy to do that. But, I think, again, as we move forward as a county, we need to be realistic about what it takes to operate a park and what it takes to keep it in the condition all of us want to see it in.
Well, being somewhat of a history nut, if it's Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II, whatever, I go to a lot of sites, and I see a lot of things. And not all of them are maintained daily. And for us to say that this site has to be maintained daily, I just don't believe that's going to be necessary. I think it'll still be presentable. I think it's in a right spot if we put it at the community schools because of it has to do with education, and that area's got a lot of people.
As far as the cost of it, if I remember, did not Mr. Patterson, I believe was his name, did he not say that once a month or so, he comes by and checks out the thing and cleans it and opens up the glass and cleans the bottom side and everything?
That's what it
That
said.
may actually be enough. If you go to, I mean, I just recently went to Williamsburg, and we were up there, and then we went to Yorktown and other. Their things are not maintained daily, and yet they still communicate the thought of and the presence of what they tried to communicate with their statues and monuments and stuff. So I think we're kind of beating it to death as to what this might cost us. Thank you.
Tom, please. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Holder. Who's bringing us something that will cost us money?
I cannot make a similar pledge that on your last item. But it's nothing new, I will say that. You are aware of this. Did want to announce that we did have a very successful bond sale on August the 25th, where we were able to close on the $19.9 million of Pitt Community College bonds. Couple of items of note, just to remind you, this will be a 20-year debt service obligation. We were targeting an interest rate of approximately 3%. Pleased to report that as a result of our favorable bond rating, as well as the market conditions at the time of the sale, we were able to secure an interest rate very low, 2.75%. Also, the LGC, our bond counsel, and our financial advisors all commented that this was one of the most attractive bonds deals that they had seen, as evidenced by 16 different bidders bidding on these notes. So that's another very good indicator of the attractiveness of our bonds. And this budget amendment that's before you is an interest-only payment that is due in this fiscal year for 15-16. Again, it's a 20-year note. Next year's interest and principal payment will be at the level of $1.6 million, which is the approximate amount that we were anticipating to service this bond. So what we proposed, as we mentioned earlier, was to appropriate Article 46 fund balance to pay this interest-only payment, this first interest-only payment. Those funds would not be replenished. It would just come out of that quarter-cent fund balance, which you have designated for capital construction or debt service for educational projects.
We have a motion on Mr. Colson.
I'd like to know whether these funds are going to be, or whether the bonds are going to be federal and state tax exempt. Do you know?
They are tax exempt bonds, yes.
For both?
I believe so, yes. For general obligation bonds, should be both federal and tax state.
We've received this money, I believe this statement here says, we've got 2 or 3 different funds. Where is the money presently being held?
It's presently on deposit at the North Carolina Cash Management Trust.
Now, interest is being earned by that, I suppose.
Yes, sir, it is.
That is coming to whom? To what fund?
That is being redeposited into our fund.
Into your general fund?
Yes, it will be. It's going back into the cash management trust, but we will book it on our general
Now,
fund.
this budget amendment you've got here for $327,000, you want to take it out of one fund to put it in another one, is that correct?
Not exactly. We're actually appropriating it out of the quarter cent and making the debt service payment.
All right. Well, is it earning the same amount of money in each fund it's in now?
It is not. These funds are dispersed amongst, the Article 46 is dispersed amongst several different investments, and
You're not answering my question, Dwayne.
Okay.
I want to know if your earning capacity from the locations of all the funds is .05 or .61, or what are we getting for the county?
I can tell you that amongst all the funds that we have, it's very, very comparable. There's probably not even 100% interest difference between the different funds that they're dispersed.
All right, now this payment from this 327,000
Yes, sir.
is to be made April the 1st, 2016?
Yes, sir.
Why are you wanting to change it now? By your fund appropriation?
Well, changing it, we're actually, all this will do is to, I think I understand what you're asking. Now, this is not going to move the funds at all, this budget amendment. All this is a paper entry. The funds won't move until the debt service is due.
Just being precautious and
Yes, sir.
moving ahead. I like that attitude.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
want to make sure, that's right. Well, we want to be precautious, but we also want to make sure that we're following generally accepted accounting principles. As soon as we know that that debt's due, we go ahead and correct the books.
And of course, you derive from my questions. I want to make sure we're earning the most we can get on it.
Yes, sir. It will not move until it's due.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Garris.
I think that the message you have is something we already knew and we've kind of already approved, but also, you also delivered some very good information also, because again, I would like to remind us one more time that as a result of the work of this board and our staff in getting our fund balance back up is the reason we had one of the reasons we had 16 bidders bidding on this note, and we were able to get this rather than at a 3% rate, we were able to get it at a 2.75% rate. So again, I commend the board and our staff for this very positive work.
Does anyone have a motion on the motion?
So move.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Thank you.
Need you to confirm, Mr. Owens.
You didn't confirm.
Mr. Owens.
Trying to get married, voting, I hadn't done that. Thank you.
Mr. Lee.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and
Morning.
Commissioners. Come before you today asking you to approve a budget amendment that has been recommended by the EMS Oversight Committee. And basically what this budget amendment is, and it's coming from the EMS Contingency Fund, is to help us for server migration of patient care reports, PCRs, to a new server. We found that the server now is just too small with the increasing. And also to provide training to so many of our new employees that's never had any training. Also in your packet too, in your agenda item, I did put in there some of our Zoll partnership that we've had and how important it is for us to maintain good patient care reports along with billing avenues. Because I think when we go back and look at our EMS system fund, we're looking at about 50% of that comes from revenue from the actual billing.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to the board.
Motion to
Motion
I
second,
wanted
Ms.
to
Perkins
ask a
Williams.
question. I noticed in reading this that there's no one, I'm very cautious about human protection and why isn't there someone from the health department included? I see you've got the other departments in here with EMS, and when you start talking about people welfare, you have all the major boards in here relating to EMS, but I didn't see anyone from, or maybe I don't know that there is someone from health included in this.
This right here mainly deals with 911 EMS responses. So it's not a public health. Now, if we've wind up finding that there is an individual that may be a reoccurring person, we may, through DSS and public health, involve them.
But you're not a health person to make that determination.
Commissioner Perkins Williams, we do have on the EMS Oversight Committee a medical director from the Vidant Medical Center who adds that level of oversight to these decisions.
All right, because I didn't see it in my reading. I know I was reading. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Let's complete the vote.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah,
have one
Mr.
question.
Garris.
Since we are a good customer of Zoll and we buy our hardware and software from them and have such an excellent relationship with them and they value us so much, why couldn't they provide this training for us at no cost, since it's their equipment we're trying to learn how to operate?
I think they did negotiate that actual training
Okay,
cost
fine.
down. And
I figured you were gonna tell me it was originally 20,000 and you negotiated it down to 7, right?
And actually be done when they're on site doing the site of
Okay, very
migration.
good.
So,
I had to ask that question, thank you.
we're trying, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. McLaughlin?
The money that's coming from the contingency fund, that's normal, is that the normal procedure that we do, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
Mr. Rhodes?
Good morning again. You may recall the county received a $3 million grant to help provide sanitary sewer service along an area on Stantonsburg Road near Candlewick subdivision. Earlier this summer, we were before you to award an engineering services contract to McDavid and Associates. Since that point in time, we've reviewed proposals for the administrative portion. And again, McDavid Associates was selected as the most qualified firm. We have a lump sum contract before you today of $105,000 to assist with the administration of this grant.
I so move.
I second.
Any
Mr.
further
Chairman,
discussion? Mr. Owens?
I'd like to show that I abstain on this, please.
Mr. Owens abstaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Booker?
Good morning.
Good morning.
At the Commissioners' meeting on August the 17th, 2015, the Commissioners requested the County Attorney and the Tax Administrator to prepare a uniform policy for waiver of interest on old RMV taxes, and these are July 2013 or older taxes. On September the 2nd, Janice Gallagher met with Tax Administration staff to review the prepared list of recommended policy requirements for waiver of that interest. On September the 21st, County Attorney and Tax Administration staff met with County Manager Scott Elliott and Deputy County Manager Dwayne Holder to review that policy. What you have in your packet is a policy and application and a resolution for your adoption.
I'd
Any
like to
questions
make a
from this?
motion that we accept this policy and application since it was what we had requested. Thank you.
I second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Well, yes,
Thank
but no.
you.
It's not related to it.
What?
It's not related to it. I'm gonna get you the answer.
Okay.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the next item, Springshire Tefra hearing request. This item was brought to my attention. The Springshire Retirement Community would like to have Pitt County operate a Tefra.
Mr. Manager, could you speak a little closer to the microphone? Thank you.
Sure. TEFRA stands for the Tax Equity and Financial Responsibility Act, which is a federal process. We do have before you this morning some representatives of the Springshire project. I know we have Mary Ash and is it Alan Robertson? Or
I'm David Ammons.
David Ammons, I'm sorry, who are here to present this to you. No action is being asked by the board today other than to hear the request. And then if you are in agreement to proceeding forward, I guess the only action would be to agree to set a public hearing, which we would probably be looking at November 19th because a 14-day public notice is required for that. And with that, I guess, Mr. Chairman, if we can let Ms. Ash make a brief presentation to you.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Mary Nash Rusher. I'm an attorney with Hunt & Williams in Raleigh. We are here representing Springshire Retirement LLC in connection with a proposed retirement community that is planned in Pitt County and Greenville. I'm going to let Mr. Ammons talk to you about the retirement facility generally. He does have a handout that gives you a good sense of exactly where it's located and what the proposed facility will be. It will consist of, it's going to be a continuing care retirement community owned by Springshire LLC, which is in turn owned by Springshire Retirement Community, Inc., which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that's been recognized as such by the Internal Revenue Service. This is the first phase of this retirement community. The proposal is that this community be financed with tax-exempt bonds. In order for tax-exempt bonds to be issued, it is required under TEFRA, as Mr. Elliott was pointing out, that there be a public hearing in the jurisdiction in which the facility will be located. The proposal is that this financing be through the Public Finance Authority, which is a nationwide issuer of tax-exempt bonds. They do a lot of tax-exempt bonds, including for a variety of facilities in North Carolina. We've been involved in affordable housing, continuing retirement facilities, YMCAs, charter schools, a number of different types of 501c3 organizations that have obtained financing through the Public Finance Authority. The requirement is that the host jurisdiction, that is the jurisdiction where the facility is located, hold a public hearing, and after the public hearing, adopt a resolution approving in principle that tax-exempt bonds are being used to finance this facility. This is not an endorsement by the county of the feasibility of the facility. There are no county dollars involved in this whatsoever. This is a hearing and a resolution that are adopted because the federal tax code says in order to be tax exempt, you have to have this sort of approval in principle from the host jurisdiction. So that is a brief overview of the process. I'm happy to answer any additional questions about it. It might be helpful for Mr. Ammons to talk just a little bit about the project itself so that you know what it is, and then we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, and good morning also. I know you've said that about 20 times, but my name is David Ammons, and I'm the owner of Retirement Living Associates. Retirement Living Associates is a development and management company in the retirement industry. We developed Springmore back in the 1980s in Raleigh and have been wanting to do Springshire, which is very much modeled after Springmore for many, many years in Greenville. We're making good progress and ran into the recession in the mid 2000s, and so after a brief hiatus, we're back and moving forward. I want to give you just a few details on it. A continuing care retirement community means that it has independent living. We will have apartments and houses. It also means we'll have assisted living and skilled care. We are licensed by the North Carolina Department of Insurance, something that we work with very closely. In the broadest of terms, the square footage is estimated for Springshire to be 270,000 square feet. When we open phase one, there'll be approximately 240 residents living there. We will have the 162 independent, 8 assisted, and 12 skilled. We estimate the construction will be approximately $54 million, which equates to about 430 construction jobs, and once open, we employ about 150 people. We believe that we'll be conducting, which is required by the Department of Insurance, our pre-sales in 2016 and 2017. We hope to start construction in 2017 and welcome our first residents in 2018. I'm also pleased that we have 2 members of our board of directors here today, and that's Beth Thompson, who's sitting in the audience, and Bob Dayton, have been very supportive since the beginning. Alan Robertson, you mentioned, is another one of our attorneys working with us, and the president of our board is from Greenville, is Ernest Caraway, that was not able to be with us today. But I'm also happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Owens.
Thank you for your presentation. When you use the name Bob Dayton, you personify what I think this total thing is about.
Thank you.
But you've given us the figures as to what the investment would be here, as to the services that would be rendered. And I think this board understands that we are not in any way obligated, but only approval to give you the prosper to go forward to what you want. Mr. Chairman, with that, I think we need to have a public hearing on this to comply with the request.
Motion.
I second it.
Motion second.
I have a question, though.
Ms. Perkins Williams and Mr. McGlaughlin.
I kept looking for PFA. I want to make sure, because I heard it today. Is PFA Public Finance Authority? Because I'm used to seeing the parentheses after it, so I know what it is.
Yes, ma'am. Public Finance Authority is known often as PFA.
Okay, thank you.
And just a point of clarification, I think we're hoping to hold this public hearing at the November 2nd meeting. so that we can get it published 14
Yeah.
days ahead of time.
Yeah, that's correct. I
Right.
was mistaken. It does require the 14-day period
Right.
of advertising.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question in terms of the, as a nonprofit facility, the affordability to the average citizens, retiree, as compared to the for-profit entities of this nature, how would that be?
Well, sir, it's a continuing care retirement community, and as a continuing care retirement community with the different levels of care, it's something that we want to make as affordable as possible. Like Cypress Glen that's here in this market, it's in that sort of price range, sort of in that point. I manage retirement communities that are for-profit and nonprofit, mostly nonprofit, in Raleigh, Cary, and in Florence, South Carolina. And we work really hard to make the assisted living in particular as price, as affordable as possible. But as a continuing care retirement community, they don't tend to be on the low end at all. So it is true that with the tax-favored financing, we should be more affordable than the for-profits, and we typically are.
Ms. Ward?
I know Springmore was mentioned
Yes,
in
ma'am.
Raleigh, and it's an outstanding facility, and there are some medium-income retirees I know of that are there that are
Yes.
in the process of being there, and I think we're very fortunate to have this another opportunity for the citizens in our county to
Thank
be
you.
able to take advantage of this. Thank you.
Mr. Colson?
On page 2 of the handout, you've got some pictures, aerial views of land. Is this where you're actually planning to locate?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Springshire owns that property. We bought it in 2007.
Does anybody on this board remember Floyd, 1999? Does this area flood?
It does not. It's
Are
52
you
feet
sure?
above, it's 52 feet above Cypress Glen, and I know it had its
Okay,
issues.
I just want to
during-
make sure you didn't
No, I
have a
agree with
bad
you.
area.
All the yellow that you see in the back, 2/3 of that is in the very, very wet. But where it's cleared, that is a lot higher. It comes up about
Okay,
30
all
feet
right.
right there. So, no, sir, when we were looking at sites, it was right after Floyd. We were very aware of that.
Okay.
Mr. Garris?
2 observations. I'm totally supportive of this project. I think it will be a great asset to the community. The jobs you generate will be wonderful. However, it will go off our tax base because it's nonprofit, so you won't be paying any property taxes. So just out of curiosity, the land that you currently own out there, are you paying taxes on that now, property taxes on that now? So once you get this approved as a 501c3, then you will no longer be paying the property taxes?
No, we already are a 501c3, but that alone doesn't make you property tax exempt. We pay
Okay.
property tax today. Once we're open, we have a choice legally to look at either paying the property tax or doing what they call community benefit that offsets that tax. And I have one community in Raleigh that pays tax, and I have one
Okay.
community in Cary that does not. So I
So-
don't know how this one will be yet, but if we
Cary
don't pay, it's only because there's a community benefit of offsetting dollars.
Okay. And I think that it would really be nice of you to come back and share that study with us.
Okay.
I would be very interested in
Yes.
knowing what that was.
Yes, sir.
And the second observation, and, we don't need to go into anything blindly, it is going to be expensive for residents, period. It is everywhere. I have a mother-in-law that's in assisted living, and it is expensive.
Yes.
No further discussion. Let's complete the vote.
Thank you.
Give Ernest
Thank you.
our regards.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Dayton, appreciate you being here.
All right. Next, we have some appointments. Appointment to the Convention and Visitors Authority. Any nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Kenneth Ross. The board is losing Robert Scheck, and they have asked that Kenneth Ross be the replacement.
Now, what district is he in?
He lives in Aden, so. what
That's
is-
6, right? That'll put
Three,
4
6,
people
6.
on 6? And nobody from number 2 nor number 1?
Well,
Is that what we're doing now?
I
then
don't
I
look
like
at
to
the-
see one
but
heavily
I don't look
number
at
two.
things like that. I'm looking
I
at.
do.
Well, you can, but all I'm saying is that that board, Convention and Visitor Center, specifically asked for Kenneth, mainly because of what he does as far as the fair and trying to bring events and entertainment to the county is not dissimilar. There's a good fit between them. But if you want to nominate somebody, then go
We
ahead.
have a nomination, Ms. Perkins Williams, do you have a nomination?
Yes, I do. I have Mrs. Karen Thickpen. Let me say this. This county is developed commercially unequal. And until we start including District 2 and other District 1s and whatever into our process so that the citizens in these areas will have some input, we're gonna continue to be behind the 8 ball. That's the bad for cool, ain't it? The 8 ball, and we need to be mindful of that. I like Mr. Ross. I know the fair brings something in, but we need to be openly inclusive throughout this county to include people on these boards and commissions. And I work hard to beg people to apply.
And that's Karen Thigpen?
I like to nominate Ms. Karen Thickpen. I like Mr. Ross, but I think we
Are there-
need number 2 on there. There aren't anyone. We very seldom have a number 2.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Are there any further nominations? All right, by rule, we vote on the second nomination first, so the first vote would be for Ms. Karen Thigpen. Her nomination fails. The next vote would be for Mr. Ross. Mr. Hammond? All right. Next appointment is to the Physical Activity and Nutrition Coalition. Any nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we reappoint Alice Keene and Rita Roy. I realize this would be an exception to our board's policy, but I think both of those need to be on this board.
Second it.
Any further nominations? Hearing none, let's vote. Okay. And a reappointment to the Pitt County Nursing Home and Adult Community Advisory Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we reappoint Thomas Gould.
Any other nominations? Let's vote.
I'm going faster than I can get there. Where are we?
Next is the reappointment to the Aden Planning Board. William Bulow's been suggested for reappointment.
I move that we reappoint Mr. Bulow.
Second.
No other nominations, let's vote. Next, we have appointment to the Committee for Employment of People with Disabilities.
Chairman, I make a motion, we appoint Cheryl Clifton, Jeffrey Dozer, and Jan Elliott.
Second.
Hearing no other nominations, let's vote. And then we'll have an appointment to the Pitt County Planning Board when we're ready, which starts on page 198. And then an individual from District 2.
All right, Mayor.
Yes. Y'all going faster than I can turn the page.
198. Page 198.
There is a lady in District 2. Anthony Herring, a person. Anthony Herring.
Have a nomination for Anthony Herring. Any further nominations? Hearing none, let's vote.
Can I just
And
say-
I'm sorry, that's not a woman there. That's a man.
Just can I say that this is one of those boards that we really do try to adhere, to getting people from different districts to serve on, since it has to do with planning for the whole county.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond?
Try it again.
Just need a vote on Mr. Herring. Thank you. And last is reappointments to the Board of Health.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we reappoint Dr. Mark Hayes, and also that we appoint Patricia Dix from District 6.
Any further nominations? Hearing none, let's vote. Okay, next up, we have a suggested closed session. Madam Attorney?
Yes, it has been suggested that this board go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A4 to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses served in the area served by the public body, and also under 143-318.11A1 to prevent the disclosure of confidential information, and in this case, to consider the content of your closed session minutes.
I move we go into closed session.
We have a motion, second. If no other discussion, let's vote.
Kimberly, Wanda's knows to be here, right?
Welcome back. We're now back in open session. Mr. McGlowhorn, do you have a motion?
There's a motion to approve the closed session minutes from the September 14, 2015.
I second.
Motion approved, second. Any further discussion? Let's vote. All right, Commissioners' comments. Commissioner Hammond, do you have any comments?
No, sir.
Commissioner Colson?
None.
I do. As you know, I missed the last meeting because I was attending the Advanced Leadership Corps at the Institute of Government, School of Government in Chapel Hill. I find that training very enlightening, and one of the things that I had to do was come up with a vision statement that I like to share with you all in condensed form. I said that as a Pitt County Commissioner, and with Pitt County designated as the hub of the East, I view Pitt County as being presenting itself that no matter where you enter this county, whether it's from the north, whether it's from the south, the east, or west, a visitor will want to come back here, either live, spend their money, or play, and that it is a desire that we work towards that vision so that we really will truly be the hub of the East. That's in condensed form as to what the vision statement said. Did I get it right?
You did.
And I'd like to thank y'all patiently for my absenteeism, but it was well spent. 6 o'clock getting up or 5 o'clock waking up.
Mr. Owens?
No, sir.
Ms. Ward?
No, not today.
Mr. McGlowhorn?
No.
Mr. Garris?
No comment.
Mr. Farley?
Yes, my only comment is next month we're in the other election cycle, and it's been a nice year, and it's been my experience that this board and the staff operates like a well-oiled machine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Farley. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move for adjournment.
Second that one.
All in favor? All right, thank you.